I am still recovering from an epic dump I took. Hello, and welcome to our first official, I think, E3 Summer Games Fest, whatever, our summer gaming coverage. We had the pre-show last weekend, which covered everything that was leading up to the official week of madness when it comes to the amount of game reveals and events and Nintendo and yada, yada, yada. And for this kickoff, a bunch of us ended up watching it, and I have a guest here, so it's not just me and my lonesome. We are joined by frequent collaborator and friend.
It's Ken. I'm back.
Hello, man. How have you been?
Pretty good. Been on the trek to complete 12 games by the end of the year. Went through the first two Yakuzas and kind of fell off a little bit in terms of like completing games. Hopefully I can beat Eichenfeld in the next like week or so, and then
I've heard that it's really good.
Yeah, Eichenfeld is really good. I got to the point where like a couple of big story bombs dropped, and I'm just like, oh damn.
I'm gonna check it out. Like, I had Game Pass, and then it was on there, and then I think it was leaving, and then I couldn't afford Game
still
Pass
up there
because it's like $20 a month Canadian. No, thank you. And now we got to pay tax on it too. We never did before, so I went back to like it was like $20 a month, or I could spend $60, so 3 months of Game Pass worth to get a year of gold. So I was like, at least I'll have gold, and I have a feeling that either this coming week or sometime soon they'll do one of those deals to like come back to us for $1 and convert your remaining time or something.
I would also just do what I do every like Black Friday and hunt down Black Friday deals and get a year of Game Pass for like 50% off.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Then it might only cost me, like $90 for a whole year or something.
Yeah, it cost me it cost me about like it was somewhere in the ballpark of like $80 US for
okay, so be like 120, which is not bad considering you're gonna spend like $200 normally here for a year.
I also had to go into GameStop and get a physical card.
Oh. Yeah, well, it might be different this year. It might be easier for that. I mean, I get the feeling
GameStop will probably still have that kind of situation where you have to go into the store to get the card.
Yeah.
And then the other half of the year I got via Target, because it was like you can buy up to 3, or it was like 2 or 3 card like codes for Game Pass, and it basically surmised up to 6 months,
because you can stack them up for I think up to 3 years or something.
You can stack up to 3 years. Yeah.
I know I had 2 years of PS Plus stacked one time, and I thought that was pretty cool. Not having to renew that.
I mean, this is what I'm gonna do with Game Pass every year. It's every Black Friday I'll just hunt down good deals on Game Pass and just get it.
Yeah, I figure if something really comes up that I have to play and I don't get a review copy, it's no big deal to spend $20 to subscribe for a month to play it, and rather than paying $80. For me, quickly, all I've done, I caught up on stuff. I've been playing review games that are all out now, so I've cleared my slate that way pretty much completely. But For myself, I finally beat a couple games on my backlog. The God of War from 2018 and Horizon Zero Dawn. Didn't do obviously 100% playthroughs, but I did all the story stuff to get to the end because
100% in God of War is not something you would enjoy.
Yeah, I was able to
Just
beat
saying.
4 of the Valkyries, and then I went, fuck this.
Well,
thanks.
Well, once you, it's 5 Valkyries, and then you have to beat the Queen, which is like the hardest boss in the entire game.
Yeah, and I freed one of the dragons, and I was like, it's kind of. I found it more repetitive than I was expecting, and I after seeing it with like Game of the Year, all this sort of stuff, I'm playing it. I'm going, some of this gameplay mechanics feel like PS3
It's the
gen.
story. It's really the story that makes it Game of the Year in my book.
The story was so well done, and the cinematics and the whole feel. I mean, 90% of the dialogue was boy. But I mean, I had a good time with it.
It was a meme for a reason.
Well, I was stuck. I bought the game in 2018 digitally, and I was stuck since then. I couldn't get through one of the first caves where you have to like throw your axe and like do the timing puzzles, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized playing it on the PS5 why. On the PS4 with HDR on, it was so dark I couldn't see that there was another spot where I was supposed to throw my axe to freeze something. And I'm like, it literally it killed the experience for 2.5 years for me because I couldn't see everything. So I beat that. Horizon, I would have loved to have done all the mission stuff, so you have more people at the end that are there to help you, but it came down to I want to get that game beat before the new game comes out. And if I didn't do it now during the lull before all the games come out for review, I wasn't probably ever going to get to it.
Yeah.
Plus, both games had, Horizon 1 didn't have a 60 FPS mode, but the God of War, I'm actually glad I waited because it looks and feels better than I remember playing it on the PS4 Pro.
I'm sure. I'm sure it does.
With that out of the way, we're going to talk about what happened on this, I guess, day 0 of E3. Even though technically Friday...
it's not technically E3,
which
means Bandai Namco didn't lie.
Yeah, even Friday is considered day 0 because it's beforehand. I think there's a couple things, and I'll just do a quick podcast on that. Yeah. But for this day, I didn't realize there's Day of the Devs, but we're probably not missing anything by recording at the same time that's showing because it's mostly things that already exist, but they're giving deeper dives into it. I know it started with Axiom Verge too, which I didn't play the first one, but I heard it was amazing. But this is about Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, the thing that he made to combat and compete with E3, even though he says he hasn't. That's exactly what this is. It was a show, at least in summary for me, some good stuff at the beginning, a lot of boring stuff, and then a big reveal at the end. So, off the top of my head, when the show started, what did they start out with? Do you remember?
One of the first things was the Borderlands spin-off game. That's pretty much a whole game of the Tiny Tina DLC from the second game.
And you see, I didn't know who Tiny Tina was. So I guess this is their way of doing the League of Legends spin-offs.
The whole thing with the DLC of the second game was that it was a Dungeons and Dragons inspired Borderlands DLC. Because Tiny Tina is basically your DM, and she fucks around with stuff sometimes, and she'll you kill the boss, and she's like, "Nah, it's too easy."
And she'll draw it with wings.
Revives the boss, and the boss is harder.
Yeah, it's like revives the boss, or boss now has wings, or changes its pattern, or it's the kind of thing where you're playing and it'd be like, oh, and it was a brute berserker, and you beat it up, and then it's like, and the berserker actually had an axe, and now it has an axe.
And now they're basically, and the big thing that stood out to me was that it's not technically a loot and shoot game that the spinoff is. It's going to be. They said
some looter stuff, but
it's going to still be Borderlands-y, but I don't think it's going to be loot and shoot. I think it's going to be more of a straight up fantasy, first person Skyrim-y kind of game.
Yeah,
with Borderlands style humor.
I think, which is good. It's nice to freshen it up. I think people got tired of especially the third game wasn't really as well reviewed. So, and in
It
playing
sold well enough.
it had good. Well, I was playing it. I played. It was one of the games where you paid $10 for the PS4 version, and you got the free upgrade to PS5 during Boxing Day here. So I was like, I bought a copy for my brother and myself, and now we have to have the discs in to play the PS5 version. But I was like, this is pretty good. And then we played for a fair bit in co-op, and then we went, wait, it kind of gets boring because Borderlands, I think, in its own style, that loop that they have is starting to get boring. It's starting to show its age. So they were smart to go, hey, let's do a spin-off, but not, we're not calling it Borderlands Fantasy. We're using a character that people know. Personally didn't remember, but they're going to use a character that they know to spin the lore, spin the world out. To me, it feels like that League of Legends thing where they were talking about how they're going to make all these games that might be tied into League of Legends, but very tangentially, like, oh, it has characters that are from the game in there, or hey, it takes place in the same land but really has nothing to do with it. That's what I'm getting from this.
As much as I don't like Riot as a company, I want that fighting game. God damn it.
Yeah. And I'm thinking other big things that they talked about here. There was the obligatory Kojima discussion because he makes it known that they're really good friends every single year, which wasn't what we were hoping. Which everybody was hoping for, him to announce some new Sony project, either Silent Hill or something like that, or.
Well, the rumor is he's working with Microsoft for the next game.
Yeah, so well, that's what I mean. So it was like, but then they showed off it's Death Stranding with a director's cut. So to me, it looks like it's rendering at native 4K now and targeting 60.
Easy.
And if not native 4K, a 1440p to 4K dynamic. But it looks like it's clearly targeting 60 because the fluidity was never that smooth when you played it.
I forget the recommended for the PC version, which had 4K support.
I think it wasn't a 2070 or something.
Yeah, which is about as capable as the next gen consoles.
Yeah, I think wasn't it the PS5 is somewhere on paper between the 2060 and 2070, and then the Series X is 2080.
Yeah, something like that.
But then they still have unique features that maybe aren't. They're going to have stuff. Plus, in the future, if they start taking using that new DLSS equivalent, then we're probably going to see some other improvements. But yeah, regardless, it's the equivalent of like $700 gaming cards is what you get with these next gen consoles.
Yeah, and honestly, I still think Death Stranding is the prettiest looking game on the PS4.
It's a toss up in visual for realism style. Yes, the closest would be probably Ghost of Tsushima. A lot of people are saying that God of War was better looking. In playing that recently, like I said, it's not. There are parts of it that are as good, but as far as the environments go, I'll have to give it 100% to Death Stranding. Like as far as if you're trying to have like a realistic countryside sort of thing. As far as art direction, though, it's probably Ghost of Tsushima. But still, they did tease some Metal Gear sort of stuff in here where you're hiding in a box. And then, so this isn't just a PS5 native code version that does higher resolution. This is a director's cut. So we know there's going to be content that he added to it that was either cut initially or added specifically to flesh out certain things. And they said we're going to know more in very quickly. They said in a few weeks. So it sounds like we're going to get either a dedicated state of play for it, or it doesn't seem like it's the kind of game I think that they would give a full state of play for. I think this is going to be a feature in whatever their future of gaming, whatever they want to call it, this year is their summer showcase, which is yet undetermined. But he didn't say in a few months; he said a few weeks. So, methinks somewhere early in July, which would put it around the same time, wasn't it? Or was it? No, it was middle of June, wasn't it? When Sony did their thing. I can't remember, but still, the Stranding looks cool. I'm got my fingers crossed that maybe it'll be a free upgrade.
Yeah, probably.
Jurassic World Evolution 2. I didn't know there was a first Jurassic World Evolution, but they showed that off, and it was, yeah. I don't know if you have anything else to say on that, but it was like, maybe it'll be cool.
I mean, the first one was exactly what you expected, and the second one is exactly what you're probably going to expect. It's the same thing, but more.
Among Us had a hide and seek mode added.
Yeah, hide and seek is a common game that the community does. And yeah, no, adding that by default is pretty cool.
What was it? Fall Guys added Near Automata character.
I'm buying that. It's so silly. I love it.
There was a bunch of indie, like, I don't want to skim over all the titles, but in reality, I don't think we had anything really good to say about most of the medium budget.
I mean,
MMO.
the ones that I wrote down: Metal Slug Tactics.
Oh, that's right. Dotemu, they're the people that are doing the TMNT game. You're right. Like, they're doing a pixel art, high quality looking tactical RPG
with Metal Slug.
With Metal Slug. Think pixelated pixel art version of Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah. Sable got an actual release date, which Sable is a game I've been looking forward to for like 3 years now. I'm super excited about that.
They showed off was it Solar Ash, which I have no interest in, but I can understand why people would. It still looks, I don't know, it looks boring to me, but that's just maybe me. Then there were all these MMO titles that nobody cares about that are really not going to sell.
Planet Alana was the next one that I had on my list, which was that very cool hand-painted background game.
Yes, that looks great for all the indie titles. That was the standout one for sure. It's like hand-painted water paint looking backgrounds.
Revealed as of just an hour ago as an Xbox and PC exclusive.
Okay, so probably Game Pass then.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be announced as a Game Pass game for sure.
Then, like, do you have any more on your list of smaller titles?
I said Wavebreak, which
I missed because I was in the bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, Weezer's doing some of the music for the game, and it's going to be stream friendly.
Which was cool that they did that, and that the live performance was stream friendly as well. Which I know Jeff Keighley, was it last night or the night before, did a live just question and answer thing, and he said that was something that it took a long time to work out with the lawyers. Which I'm like, because it's every single company has to be on board. Twitch has to be on board. YouTube basically has to manually go in and turn off their algorithm for detection for that video and that music.
Yeah, it's
so that means it costs money to do it.
Yeah, but Wavebreak, for those that aren't in the loop, Wavebreak is basically Tony Hawk's Pro Skater with boats.
Okay, cool.
And that's neat. And that's actually coming out as of this recording tomorrow, so the 11th.
Nice.
And that's dropping on Steam, and I don't know what other platforms it's coming out on.
There were some Amazon updates on their games because the show was sponsored by them. It's clear that with E3 running this year, Jeff wasn't able to get the same. He got the same participation from companies, but he wasn't able to get the same sponsors. And it looks like the Summer Game Fest was kind of a low key Amazon Games showcase.
Yeah. Wavebreak is going to be available on everything.
Sweet.
So Switch, PS4, Xbox, Steam, Stadia, the works.
That's nice. I don't have any other notes here. I don't think they announced anything else. We can just skip right to the end of the show, right?
No. We are not skipping this.
They announced a game that looks kind of like a PS3 game to me, which which people are going to murder me over the internet for saying that it looks bad visually.
I mean, no one argues that FromSoft doesn't make like
FromSoft makes ugly. They make ugly games that people love.
Yes.
They're kind of like they
are mechanically sound, but they are not lookers.
Which it's sort of the reverse of the Bethesda factor. They're not mechanically sound, but they look good.
Yeah.
So if you combine them, you end up with something from Obsidian. Something from Obsidian or
somewhere
something
in the middle.
So, yeah, Obsidian or like old BioWare, but it's pretty much if you merge the gameplay styles of both of them and the skills of those companies, you end up with whatever Avowed is going to be.
But yeah,
but
Elden Ring, aside, baby. Elden Ring, I am excited.
I'm tentatively optimistic. I don't think I'm going to like it as a player, but I wouldn't mind watching people play because Souls games just don't do it for me. That being said, there is, as much as I have a gripe with maybe the fidelity of some of the assets, it has a very unique, cool, very George R.R. Martin look to the actual fantasy elements.
Yeah, you definitely feel the Gurm influence on this one. The big things that stand out as a Souls fan, horse combat, yes. The like it shows off that a lot of the bosses are using like unique magic, and it's not new to the series, but it is significant, like in terms of just what they're doing. Like you had the dragon just call down a lightning bolt and just slam it down on the ground, like that's pretty cool.
I liked when the protagonist is like powering up their sword. It's like that very like instead of like a laser beam light, it's like a thin, tiny, singular pixel width of a beam.
It's very end of Dragon Ball Supers and some what the frick is the name of the dude? When Trunks like uses like a combo of his sword with a spirit bomb and just like slashes the bad guy.
Yeah, like usually when you see like in these fantasy games, they'll power up their sword. It'll be like either flames, like full on fire, or it'll be like this like giant laser beam but it's like the size of, it's like 3 feet thick, and
it feels like magic is
it comes
much more significant in this.
Yeah,
Souls
like the idea that less is more, showing how powerful magic is, where the sword, it's not that the whole sword has it, the sword channeled the magic into the tip of the sword, and then it's just like the width of a hair, the laser beam coming out of the top of it, and just decimates the person when they slashed.
Yeah, like I'm excited about that. The biggest excited part is we got a date. We got a date for it, baby.
We did?
January 22nd.
Okay, because I wasn't even paying attention. I think I was ranting about how that was disappointing to me.
Yeah. We got a date. It's just like, well, I know what I'm doing when I go into the store tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
That's a pre-order down immediately. Yeah, I love this. The Souls. I'm not big on like challenge games. I really am not. When it comes to like challenge action games, the Souls games are literally the only action games that I play that are like challenges.
I've been playing the game for PS5, the remaster or remake. Did I like it? I liked the atmosphere. But I realized that no amount of me playing was ever going to get me good enough to actually see the whole game. Like, there are some times where I play a game where I'm like, I just won't be skilled enough at this style of game to ever beat it. So why would I play it? So I'd rather watch it. And I'm not somebody complaining saying, oh, it has to have an easy mode. No, not every game is for everybody. I understand that. There is the skill that you do get better as you play, but I have found my limitations, and they are not to play Souls games.
Just as much as like I'm not huge on character action. I like watching character action games, but I can't really play them.
Yeah, fair enough. So I mean, I it's good that you're on the podcast, because if it was me and Mike, it would have just been Elden Ring. Who whoop did he do? Who gives a fuck? That would have been the whole thing.
And
then we would have had like death threats and stuff, because there are people that, like, I swear that when they watched it, their eyes fell out of their head.
Oh, I can't wait for it. There's a couple of people I follow. Like, I can't wait for the reactions.
Like, you're going to want to turn your volume down, because they're going to wreck their mic screaming.
Oh, it's going to be so juicy. I love it.
Like, the only pop that could have been better for this, and it would have probably been better in, like, with more people online even, is if the drop was not Elden Ring, and it was a full-fledged gameplay trailer for Metroid Prime 4.
Oh yeah.
That's literally the only way this could have happened. Even if they announced like the new Switch here, it wouldn't have been as big of a pop.
No,
it's those two games are like the holy grails right now of games. Or for those of us that in the know that have been playing for a long time, if it ended up being like some sort of hilariously old game that we weren't going to expect, like Agent that was supposed to come out on the PS3, mm-hmm. or like, what was it, Deep Down or something from Capcom. Like, it's very rare that something like that would ever happen. Yeah. But those two games, Elden Ring and Metroid Prime 4, are the ones people are waiting for.
I would say that my pop off for Elden Ring was just about as good as when I popped off last year during the Xbox conference for Tetris Effect. Of the weirdest things, I just like totally popped off on that one,
and it was so good when it came out.
As soon as the music started playing, I'm like, Tetris Effect.
Well, because previously when it had been locked to VR headsets and you were limited with the graphics, like, of what it could do. But that game is such a big particle based game that playing it on the Series X day one, when I did, I was like, holy crap. It was like, I've never seen at that time 4K graphics that didn't have like any jagged lines. It was like
there was
watching
no anti-aliasing whatsoever.
Yeah, it was like I was watching scalable vector graphics in real time. But that's beside the point. So yeah, that's going to do it, I think, for the day one. I mean, there are other stuff that's probably announced afterwards, and if that's the case, that's anything big, I will come back tomorrow when there's the Koch Gaming. Oh, that was the other thing they announced, was Koch Gaming announced that they had a new publishing label, and there's like 11 games or something, and it was clearly a tease for what they're doing tomorrow, which is their own live stream.
Yeah.
So I'll check that out. There's also the Netflix gaming thing, where it's going to be showing off all the Netflix based movies and TV shows that are based on games coming out.
Yeah, tomorrow is the big like games blowout. Like Witcher, I know is tomorrow. The ones that they're advertising, I think, is Witcher, Cuphead. I don't know if DMC is on that list, but possibly
Resident Evil
DMC.
one is the Resident Evil one is, I believe.
Yeah, Resi is on there,
and they said a couple surprises.
I think DMC is going to be one of those.
Maybe the Cyberpunk one will have an update.
Maybe the Cyberpunk one has an update. I don't know. It's Studio Trigger.
It was supposed to
regardless.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 2021. So I'm assuming by now they'll have at least more of a tease than just the
I think
animatic.
I think Trigger and Trigger's usually good. I have been
probably
throwing
the
them. I've been throwing them $1 a month on Patreon. So
fair enough. Do you think the Arc one's going to be on there?
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah,
it'll probably be like Vin Diesel shows up and hey, here's a preview of the Arc.
Yeah,
TV
because
show.
His movie's out. It hasn't released wide and. Canada
that was
yet.
Another thing. The Rocket League.
F9
collab.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that made sense.
Yeah, it's obvious. Like, that's an obvious collab.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably going to do it. This is a quick show. I'll have it edited and up probably the same day because we're going to do these as recaps of our initial thoughts on every day. We might be breaking up Saturday and Sunday into two, depending on how much gets shown.
Sunday, more than likely.
Sunday will for sure be two. Saturday, maybe. If the other ones are all small, because Sunday is the big one where it's like Xbox, Bethesda, Square Enix, the PC show,
gaming,
the VR gaming show, Future Games.
And there's another one.
Is Namco that day or is that Monday or
no,
Tuesday?
Namco's Tuesday.
Then the Back 4 Blood showcase thing.
Yeah, Back 4 Blood.
Which we probably won't watch or we won't talk about very much because I need to play that game to see if it's any good.
I mean, it's literally Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be fine. But yeah, so that's going to do it. I guess, are you going to come back on the Sunday shows for sure, right? And maybe definitely. Saturday? Maybe Ubi?
Maybe Saturday. Depends on what comes up with Ubi.
Fair enough.
Honestly, again, with Ubi, like, I don't buy Ubisoft games at launch ever.
But it's still worth checking out to see what they got in their back pocket.
Yeah, they'll probably have something.
Yeah.
Something. It'll be one of the smaller things that Ubisoft announces where I go, oh, that looks interesting. Like every Ubisoft conference.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for the, I guess, first recap on day 0-1. Is that what we're going to call this, maybe?
I count it as day 0.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so that's going to do it. Ken and I will be back, I guess, Saturday. I'll be doing a solo one tomorrow. And the, I guess, E3 coverage continues. The week of never-ending watching.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
It felt like I spilled over a 9-pound pot of hot beef stew.
Jesus Christ.